Hey folks, welcome back to Legacy of Old Age. What if the money you've worked a lifetime to save slipped through your fingers just when you needed it most? For us old-timers, keeping our nest egg safe in our golden years can feel like trying to hold water in your hands, tricky, but not impossible if you know the right secrets. Money-saving secrets for seniors every senior should know. Today, we're diving into a topic that's as practical as a pair of sturdy boots, with stories that'll make you laugh, think, and maybe even save a pretty penny. Stick with me, because I've got tales that'll warm your heart, open your eyes, and give you a few tricks from the old days with a modern twist to keep your wallet full for years to come. In the miles ahead, you'll hear about a sweet widow who nearly lost it all, a proud farmer who learned the hard way about spending, a spunky gal who found a safe way to grow her savings, and a straight talk from my own pop that showed me the secrets to keeping money safe. So grab a cup of coffee or whatever you sipped back when a dollar stretched a mile and settle in, folks. This road's got some turns worth taking. It all started a few summers back, when I stopped by Mrs. Mabel's place down in Tennessee. She lived in a little clapboard house off a dirt road, the kind with a sagging porch and a garden out back that'd make your mouth water, tomatoes red as a barn, beans climbing high on their poles. Mabel was 82, with a laugh that'd warm you up faster than a July sun, and a knack for baking pies that'd win any county fair. I'd known her for years. She'd been a schoolteacher, raised 3 kids on her own after her husband passed, and always had a kind word for everyone. But that summer, when I knocked on her screen door with a jar of my mama's peach preserves, I found her sitting at her kitchen table, her hands trembling, her eyes red from crying. "Mabel," I said, setting the jar down on her checkered tablecloth, "what's got you so upset?" The air smelled of cinnamon and worry, and her old tabby cat, Whiskers, was curled up at her feet, purring softly. She pushed a stack of papers across the table, bills, notices, and a letter from the bank that made my stomach drop. "I'm in trouble," she whispered, her voice cracking like dry leaves. I didn't know how to save right, kept spending on things I didn't need, thinking I'd always have enough. Now the bank's saying I might lose the house, and I don't know what to do. I sat there, folks, feeling my heart sink like a stone in a well. Mabel had nearly lost everything because she didn't know the secrets to saving in her old age. She told me how it happened. Piece by piece, after her husband passed, she'd been living off his pension and her savings, but she'd never learned how to budget. She'd spend on little things, new curtains she didn't need, fancy gadgets from TV ads, even loans to help a neighbor who never paid her back. "I thought I'd be fine," she said, wiping her eyes with a handkerchief embroidered with little daisies. "But the bills kept coming, and my savings kept shrinking, and now I'm scared I'll lose everything." I reached out, took her hand, and promised we'd figure it out. I wasn't about to let Mabel lose her home, not after all she'd been through. Ever known someone who struggled to keep their money safe in their golden years, folks? Or maybe you've had a scare yourself. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. That day with Mabel got me thinking about how easy it is for us old-timers to let our savings slip away, especially when we don't know the right secrets. I started digging, and the experts say saving in old age is all about knowing where your money's going, keeping track of every penny, cutting back on what you don't need, and making sure you've got a little nest egg for the rainy days. Back in the day, we'd say a penny saved is a penny earned, and now the experts say start by writing down what you spend each month. It's the first step to seeing where you can save. Mabel's scare was just the beginning, and it set me on a path to learn more about the secrets that can keep our wallets full. Mabel's scare stuck with me like the smell of her cinnamon kitchen. Folks, that image of her sitting at her table, trembling over a stack of bills, kept playing in my mind like an old record on repeat. It got me wondering how many other old-timers were letting their savings slip away, not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know the secrets to keeping their money safe. I'd seen Mabel nearly lose her home, and I knew there were more stories out there, lessons we could learn from those who'd been down that road. It wasn't long before I heard about Mr. Hank down in Georgia, a proud man who learned the hard way about the cost of living too large, teaching me a lesson about spending that I'll never forget. Hank lived on a small farm just outside Macon, the kind of place where the air smells of hay and honeysuckle, and the fields stretch out like a patchwork quilt under the summer sun. He was 76, built like a barn door, even after all those years, with a laugh that'd shake the leaves off a tree. Hank had been a farmer his whole life, raised hogs, grew peanuts, and could fix a tractor blindfolded with nothing but a wrench and a prayer. He was a regular at the local diner, always at the counter with a cup of black coffee, swapping stories with the other old-timers about the good old days. But that spring, when I stopped by his place to drop off a sack of pecans I'd picked up for him, he loved them in his pies, I found him sitting on his porch, staring out at the fields with a look of worry I'd never seen before. "Hank," I said, setting the pecans down on a rickety table, "you look like you've lost your best hog. What's eating you?" The air smelled of fresh-cut grass and a hint of something sharper, something I couldn't quite place. He didn't look at me, just kept his eyes on the horizon, and said, "I've been a fool." I pulled up a chair, the wood creaking under me, and waited. Hank wasn't one to open up easy, but I could tell something heavy was weighing on him. Finally, he sighed, heavy as a sack of feed, and said, "I spent too much, lived too big, thinking I'd always have more coming in. Now I'm scraping by, and I don't know how I'm going to make it through the winter." I sat there, folks, feeling a lump in my throat the size of a peach pit. Hank told me how it happened. Piece by piece after he retired, he'd been living off his savings and a small pension, but he'd always had a taste for the finer things. He'd buy new tools he didn't need, take the grandkids on fancy trips to the city, even got himself a shiny new truck he couldn't really afford. "I wanted to live large," he said, his voice low. "Thought I deserved it after all those years of hard work. But I didn't keep track, didn't save for the lean times. Now I'm down to my last few dollars, and I'm scared I'll have to sell the farm." I looked at Hank, his big hands clenched in his lap, and saw the fear in his eyes, the kind that comes when you realize you've spent your safety net away. Ever known someone who spent too much and paid the price, folks? Or maybe you've had a scare with your own savings. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. That day with Hank broke my heart, but it lit a fire in me to learn more about how us old-timers can keep our money safe, especially when the temptation to spend is strong. I started digging, and the experts say one of the biggest secrets to saving in old age is knowing where your money's going and cutting back on what you don't need. They call it budgeting, but it's really just common sense. Figure out what you're spending and trim the fat where you can. There's a trick from the old days with a modern spin to help us through. Back when I was a kid, we'd say, "Don't spend what you don't have." And now the expert says start by making a list of your must-haves like food, medicine, and the electric bill, and then look at what you can cut, like that extra trip to the diner or the fancy cable package you don't really watch. They say if you can save even $10 a week by skipping the little things, that's over $500 a year, enough for a rainy day or a Christmas gift for the grandkids. Hank's lesson wasn't the end of what I'd learn, and it got me wondering how others found their way to keep their money safe without missing out on life's joys. Hank's story left a bitter taste in my mouth. Folks like sipping coffee that had gone cold. His worry over spending too much and nearly losing his farm lingered long after I left his porch. It got me wondering how others found their way to keep their money safe without missing out on life's joys, those little moments that make our golden years shine. I'd seen Mabel nearly lose her home to poor saving habits, watched Hank pay the price for living too large. And I couldn't help but hope there was a brighter side to this tale, a story of someone who'd learned the secrets to saving smart and keeping their nest egg secure. That's when I heard about Miss Betty, a spunky gal from Alabama who found a safe way to grow her savings, showing me that a little wisdom can go a long way in old age. Miss Betty lived in a tidy little bungalow on the edge of Montgomery, the kind of place where the front yard's always blooming with azaleas and the mailboxes painted with sunflowers she did herself. She was 74, with a laugh like a wind chime and a knack for knitting scarves so soft you'd swear they were made of clouds. Betty was a firecracker. She'd been a nurse during the Korean War, raised 4 boys on her own, and could still outdance anyone at the church social, even with her bad hip. I'd known her for years, always seeing her at the county fair with her famous lemon squares, the kind that'd make your mouth pucker and your heart sing. That fall, when I stopped by her booth to pick up a square, I could tell she was in high spirits. Her eyes sparkled like the morning dew, and she had a grin that wouldn't quit. "Betty," I said, brushing crumbs off my shirt, "you're looking happier than a pig in mud. What's your secret?" She laughed, bright as a bell, and motioned me to sit on a bench nearby, the air thick with the smell of cotton candy and hay. "I've been saving smart," she said, her voice full of pride. "Found a way to grow my money without losing sleep over it." I leaned in, curious as a cat, and she told me her story. After her husband passed, Betty had been living off his pension and her savings, but she'd always worried about running out, especially after seeing friends like Mabel struggle. "I didn't want to end up with nothing," she said, her eyes twinkling. "So I talked to a financial fella at the bank, and he showed me how to invest safe, no risky stuff, just steady growth." Betty explained how she'd put her money into something called a certificate of deposit, a CD. She called it at her local bank. It wasn't flashy, but it gave her a little interest each year, more than her savings account, and it was safe as a locked barn door. She'd also moved some of her savings into a fixed annuity, a fancy way of saying she'd get a small, steady check every month for the rest of her life, no matter how long she lived. "I don't touch the principal," she said, winking. "Just live off the interest, and those checks keeps me comfortable. And I've still got my nest egg for emergencies." I sat there, folks, the sound of the fair buzzing around us, and felt a grin spread across my face. Betty had found a way to save smart, growing her money without the worry of losing it all. Ever known someone who found a safe way to grow their savings, folks? Or maybe you've got a trick for keeping your money secure. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. That day with Betty taught me a trick from the old days with a modern spin. Back when I was a kid, we'd say, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." And now the expert says spread your money across safe investments. Things like CDs, fixed annuities, or even treasury bonds, where your money grows a little each year without the risk of losing it all. They say to talk to a financial advisor at your bank, someone you trust, and make sure you understand the terms no risky stocks or get-rich-quick schemes, just steady, safe growth. Betty's smart saving wasn't just about the money, it was about the peace of mind it gave her, knowing she'd be okay no matter what. The experts say that's the real secret to saving in old age, finding ways to grow your money without losing sleep, so you can enjoy your golden years without worry. Betty's story got me thinking about how we can all learn to save smarter, and it wasn't long before I got some straight talk from someone closer to home about keeping our money safe in a world full of tricks and traps. Betty's story warmed my heart like a sunny day in spring. Folks seeing her find peace of mind with those safe investments showed me that saving smart in our golden years is all about balance. Growing your money without the worry of losing it all. But it got me thinking about how we can keep our money safe in a world full of tricks and traps, those sneaky scams and pitfalls that can catch even the sharpest old-timer off guard. I'd seen Mabel nearly lose her home, watched Hank pay the price for spending too much, and learned from Betty's safe investing, but I still didn't have the full picture. The kind of straight talk that'd help us protect our hard-earned savings. That's when I turned to my own pop, a man who'd been wrestling with his own worries about money, and a talk with a financial expert that gave me the secrets to keeping our wallet safe. Pop lived in that same little house outside Springfield, Missouri, where the blackberry bushes still grew wild and the porch creaked under every step. He was 83, with a voice that growled like an old diesel engine and a laugh that'd make you forget your troubles. Pop had always been a big man round as a barrel, with a belly that had earned him the nickname Big Hank, down at the diner, but he'd never been one to fuss about money. That is, until a few months back, when I found him on the porch one evening, rocking in his chair with a mug of coffee in hand, the air smelling of wood smoke and the last of the summer flowers. "I'm worried," he said, his brow furrowed deeper than a plowed field. "Got a call the other day, some fella saying I won a prize, but I had to send money to claim it. I almost did it, but it didn't feel right. What if I'd lost it all?" I sat there, folks, feeling a chill run down my spine. Pop had come this close to falling for a scam, the kind that preys on us old-timers when we're at our most vulnerable. I'd promised Mabel, Hank, and Betty I'd find answers, and now I had to keep that promise for Pop too. I called up a financial expert I knew, a fella named Tom who'd been helping folks in Springfield for years, and set up a meeting at the local library. Tom was a weary man, 60, with glasses that slid down his nose and a smile that put you at ease. He'd seen it all from scams to bad investments, and when we sat down in a quiet corner, the smell of old books in the air, I got right to the point. "Tom," I said, "Pop almost got scammed, and I'm worried. How do we keep our money safe from these crooks?" Tom pushed his glasses up, nodding like he'd heard this story 1,000 times. "Scams are a real problem for seniors," he said, his voice steady as a preacher's. "They know you've got savings, and they know you might be too trusting." He told us about the kind of scam Pop had dodged, a prize scam, where crooks call saying you've won something, but you have to send money to claim it. "Never send money to someone you don't know," Tom said, tapping his pen on the table. "If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is." He explained other traps, 2 fake charities, phishing emails that trick you into giving your bank details, even folks pretending to be from the government, saying you owe taxes. "They're slick," he said, "but you can outsmart 'em if you know what to look for." Tom gave us a list of secrets to keep our money safe, and I wrote 'em down like they were gold. "First," he said, "never give out your personal info, no bank numbers, no social security, nothing to someone who calls or emails you. If you're not sure, hang up and call the real number for your bank or the IRS. He told us to keep an eye on our accounts, to check your bank statements every month for anything funny, and if you see a charge you don't recognize, call your bank right away." And don't keep all your money in one place, he added. Spread it out: a savings account, a CD, maybe a safe at home for a little cash. So if something happens, you've still got something left. Pop nodded, his shoulders relaxing for the first time all day, and said, Guess I'll keep my coffee money in the cookie jar from now on. I couldn't help but laugh. Folks, that was Pop, always finding a way to keep his spirits high. Ever had a close call with a scam, folks? Or maybe you've got a trick for keeping your money safe. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. That day with Tom taught me a trick from the old days with a modern spin. Back when I was a kid, we'd say, don't trust a peddler you don't know. And now the experts say don't trust a caller or email you don't recognize. Hang up, check your accounts, and keep your info close to your chest. Pop's close call wasn't the end of what I'd learned, and it got me thinking about how we can all put these secrets together to keep our money safe for the long haul. Tom's straight talk in that library corner was like a roadmap through a storm. Folks, it showed me how to keep our hard-earned money safe in a world full of tricks and traps. I'd seen Mabel nearly lose her home to poor saving habits, watched Hank pay the price for spending too much, learned from Betty's safe investing, and sat with Pop as he dodged a scam that could have taken it all. Each story added a piece to the puzzle, and by the time I walked out of that library, the sun dipping low over Springfield, I knew the truth. Money-saving secrets for seniors every senior should know. It's not just about holding on to your money. It's about keeping your peace of mind so you can enjoy your golden years without worry. Let's roll it back and look at the road we've traveled, folks. There's Mabel, sweet as her Tennessee tomatoes, trembling at her kitchen table with a stack of bills, nearly losing her home because she didn't know how to save. I can still see her there, the garden blooming behind her, her voice cracking as she spoke of her fears. Then Hank, out by his Georgia barn, his big hands clenched in worry, scraping by after spending too much on the finer things. I'll never forget the fear in his eyes, the way he stared at the fields like they were all he had left. Miss Betty, spunky as ever, finding her way to peace of mind in Alabama, her savings growing safe and steady with CDs and annuities. I can still hear her laugh, bright as a wind chime, as she shared her secrets at the county fair. And Pop, my own big Hank, sitting on his Springfield porch with a coffee in hand, scared after a close call with a scam, but learning from Tom how to keep his money safe. I can still see his grin as he said, Guess I'll keep my coffee money in the cookie jar, a weight lifting off his shoulders. They're all different, ain't they? Mabel's a widow with a heart of gold. Hank's a farmer who loved the finer things. Betty's a firecracker who'd dance circles around us all. And Pop's a stubborn old cuss who'd rather eat pie than worry about his wallet. But they've all taught me one thing: saving money in our golden years isn't just about the dollars. It's about the peace of mind that comes with knowing you'll be okay no matter what. I got to thinking, if they can learn these secrets, so can we, and I'll be darned if I don't share what I've learned to help every senior out there keep their nest egg safe for the long haul. So let's round up some tricks from the old days with a modern twist to keep our money secure, folks. First off, know where your money's going. Back when I was a kid, we'd say a penny saved is a penny earned, and now the experts say start by writing down what you spend each month. Make a list of your must-haves: food, medicine, the electric bill. And then look at what you can cut, like that extra trip to the diner or the fancy cable package you don't really watch. They say if you can save even $10 a week by skipping the little things, that's over $500 a year, enough for a rainy day or a Christmas gift for the grandkids. Second, grow your money safe and steady, like Betty did. Back in the day, We'd say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And now, the experts say spread your money across safe investments, things like certificates of deposit, fixed annuities, or treasury bonds, where your money grows a little each year without the risk of losing it all. Talk to a financial advisor at your bank, someone you trust, and make sure you understand the terms no risky stocks or get rich quick schemes, just steady, safe growth. They say even a small interest rate can add up over time, giving you a little extra to live on without touching your principal, so you've always got a safety net. And here's the best trick of all. Folks, protect your money from the crooks. Pop's close call showed me how easy it is to get caught, but there's ways to stay safe. Back when I was young, we'd say, don't trust a peddler you don't know. And now the experts say, don't trust a caller or email you don't recognize. Never give out your personal info, like bank numbers or social security, to someone who calls or emails you. If you're not sure, hang up and call the real number for your bank or the IRS. Check your bank statements every month for anything funny. And if you see a charge you don't recognize, call your bank right away. And keep your money spread out: a savings account, a CD, maybe a safe at home for a little cash. So if something happens, you've still got something left. What's your trick for keeping your money safe, folks? Ever found a secret that helped you save in your golden years? Drop it in the comments. Your stories are the gold here, and they might just help someone else. Hit that like button if these tales hit home. Smash subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss what's next. There's more wisdom waiting just around the bend. Share this with a friend who'd get a kick out of it. Let's keep the conversation going and keep our wallets full. I've got more stories to share, so stick with me. We're not done yet.